Hi everyone, my name is Keziah and welcome back to what is no longer the Black Sheep podcast. Let's talk about it. Guys, oh my goodness, it's been so long. I want to say it's been more than a year. It's getting to like 15 months without my podcast that I've not been behind the mic, and that's crazy work. That's crazy work. I'm going to explain myself, don't worry. Before I do that, let me put this microphone down because I know it's going to get annoying to hold and I want to move my hands. You can already hear my bracelets jingling. Let's address the elephant in the room, and that is, if you look at the title of this YouTube video, this Spotify, whatever you're looking at, you will see that it says Friend in the Room. Friend in the Room was the original concept for this podcast, and it was the original name. And I changed it on a whim because I was chatting with my friend about something and she said that I was like a black sheep in my family, and the 17-year-old quirky want to be different so bad version of myself was like, bet, that's the new podcast name. And I didn't really think too much about it. But as I was going on and continuing this podcast, I realized that the name wasn't really fitting anymore. And we're going to get to that. First of all, how are you all doing? It's been a long time. If you are someone who listened before the big change, I hope you're doing well. And I hope that your life is even better than it was before, because there's no such thing as a better yesterday, as we all know. I think a lot of things have changed in my own life. I think the people that are in my life are different. The way that I view life is different. My prefrontal cortex is definitely different. I think I view life as an adult now and not a young girl. Even though I am still a young girl, I am just a girl, but I think I definitely feel like an adult now, especially as I'm turning 23. It's very much grown, but yeah. We are now the Friend in the Room podcast, and I wanted to touch on why it took me so long to actually get back to this. I don't plan for this to be a full episode or a proper episode. It's more just a reintroduction so that we can get to the good stuff some other time. But essentially, when around that time that I posted my last my last podcast episode rather, I was in the middle of my semester 2 of my master's. Things were going crazy. I was very burnt out. I was very stressed. A lot of things were going wrong in my life, in my projects at college, and just a lot was going on. And so I took a step back from the podcast to focus on that. With that, I also ended up deleting social media. I deleted TikTok, I deleted Instagram, I deleted Snapchat, I deleted everything except Spotify, essentially. And I want to say that that was the biggest change in my entire life. And I think at the time I was just starting to gain a relationship with God, and I wanted to see what he could give me if I gave something up. And social media it had a chokehold on my life because it was the one place that I felt like I could curate a life that seemed like it had a trajectory, and it seemed like I had direction and had my life together when I in fact did not. And so giving that up left me to reckon with the forces that are the voices in my head. We don't like addressing those. They can be really loud and really truthful and really brutal, but I spent about 4 months offline and it was very needed. But coming back online and coming back to the world, or society if you will, with a clear mind, it was really humbling. It was really humbling because a lot of things started going wrong. A lot started going wrong. That's when my relationship actually started to take its sort of downhill turn. It's where a lot of my friends at the time were starting to act a bit funny. It's where my masters were starting to look like it wasn't going to give me the grad job that I was kind of, hoping for. My thesis was looking a mess. I gained a whole lot of weight as well from stress, eating and stress, being debilitated in my bed. Yeah, a lot of things started going wrong, but what's different about it is the way that I handled it and the way that I carried myself through all of that. It's what got me to be in front of this microphone today. And that's such a long-winded way of saying everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to, and it happened for a reason. And I think taking that time in silence was really necessary. It was so necessary that I actually did it again just recently. I deleted TikTok because I wanted to clear out my phone storage. It wasn't even on some holistic self-help type thing. I just needed to clear my phone storage, and then I ended up clearing out all my phone storage and not even wanting TikTok back. And at this point I had returned to social media around January time, and I had resumed posting short form content similar to what I would have posted on my podcast, but because I was kind of avoiding and procrastinating and pushing the podcast away, and also because I was trying to gain some sort of certainty in my life, I thought that short form content would be a quicker way of quote unquote gaining an income, and that's what I was doing. But as soon as I took a break from that, once again the voices got louder, and I had to ask myself what I'm pushing away and what I'm fighting in recording my podcast. Why am I avoiding it so badly, and why am I trying to do anything except my podcast? Because at this point I'm finished my master's, I'm working part-time, I'm not in a grad job. I literally had no excuse to not be behind the mic, and yet I was finding excuses left, right and center to do anything but that. And maybe that's because it was coming from a place of complete disobedience. The higher power is giving me signs and telling me what I'm meant to do next, and I'm avoiding it because I'm like, that doesn't make much sense, does it now? You want me to be broke? You want me to have no money, no income? Something's gotta shake. And I think my final sign was the fact that I really didn't want to download TikTok back again. Last time I posted was April 22nd. It's now the 4th of May, and I'm actually dreading posting again. And I never dreaded posting on my podcast. I never dread making long form content. It feels so natural. So why am I avoiding it? Disobedience. And that is why we're here today, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. I am sitting in front of this microphone as an attempt of obedience to intuition, and finally taking heed to the signs that I have been given over my time away from social media, over my time of meditation, over the time of my prefrontal cortex developing and understanding what it is I need to do for the life that I want to live. And I think if you're listening to this now and you are getting continuous signs of what you need to be doing and you're not doing them, you're only doing a disservice to yourself. Because right now I'm at a stage where my life still isn't certain. I can't tell you what I'm going to be doing or where I'm going to be in the next 2 weeks, let alone 6 months, let alone a quarter, let alone a year. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. And yet, I have this unwavering belief that I'm going to be okay, but not just okay. I'm going to be amazing. And it's going to be because I listened and picked up my mic. It literally has dust on it. That's how long I've been putting this off. And I remember I was crying to my mum a few months ago or a few weeks ago about how I still don't have a grad job. I'm getting rejected from jobs left, right and center. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sitting there, I'm praying to God, God, please give me another sign. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Guys, I've started businesses, by the way. Someone who's not the most entrepreneurial here, by the way. I've gone out of my way to do something that isn't naturally something I'm inclined to do, just because it sounds more logical and more, it just has a clearer trajectory than picking up a podcast mic and hoping something will shake from that. And I was asking God, I have business plans. Maybe I should go back and do a PhD. I'm applying to all these jobs. I still don't know what I'm supposed to put all my eggs into. Please give me a sign. I know I'm doing my TikToks or whatever, but I want to know what next. And I get a random call from my uncle in Cameroon. Mind you, he never calls me. I've never spoken on the phone to this man one-on-one in my life. Calls me. Keziah, I need to talk to you about your career. I'm like, what are you talking about? Is my mom talking about me to you? Like, why is she airing my business? He tells me, God told me to tell you, keep doing exactly what you're doing. And I'm like, what? What do you mean keep doing what I'm doing? I'm doing everything. I'm doing everything. And he's like, keep doing what you are doing. And I'm like, okay, right. I'm feeling you. I'm getting you. But I'm not getting you. I'm not, if you could elaborate a little bit, if you could elaborate a tiny little bit. And he pulled up, I think it was a verse in Proverbs. And I'm obviously going to butcher this because I don't remember it verbatim, but it was something about many are the plans that mankind have for themselves, but only God's plan will prevail. So I'm linking that with the fact that he said, keep doing what you're doing. And I'm thinking, okay, does he mean keep doing what you're doing, as in the tangible things I'm literally doing right now? Or does he mean do what I'm doing, as in the fact that every single day I'm doing something other than my podcast? I'm ruminating about doing my podcast. For the 15 months that I've been away, this is all I think about. All I think about is when I get to come back to this and wanting to feel stable enough to sit here and do this podcast and not have to worry about how I'm going to pay my bills in the next month. Sit here and do my podcast and not worry about my career, because my career is already sorted and now I can do my podcast. Now that I've gotten all the big girl, capitalist, normal, rite of passage stuff out of the way, then I can do my podcast. And I think what has caused me so much strain and stress is because not only has the job market failed me and extended my time as a grad student with no grad job, it's also prolonged the time that I could have gotten back to my podcast. And I think subconsciously I was feeling that void bigger than I would have felt it if the podcast was not something I was greatly passionate about. I was not only mourning what I didn't have, but what I wasn't able to do, or what I thought I wasn't able to do. When he said to me, my uncle, he said, keep doing what you're doing. The way I interpret it is, keep dreaming what I'm dreaming about. Keep reaching for my dreams. That's actually what he said. He said, keep going for your dreams. Keep going for what you want. And at first it sounded stupid to say, because who dreams of having a successful podcast? Who dreams of making money or having a career solely off a podcast? And that's actually the stance that I started this podcast with already, with quite a limiting belief that, it's just a little side thing on the side that I'm doing because there's just something I love to do. I'm not expecting to get paid or anything. But why am I limiting myself before anyone has even had a chance to limit me? No one has actually told me that that's an impossible thing. And I never actually read it anywhere. I actually, now that I think about it, I've never actually read it anywhere that it's impossible to create a career off something like this. So why did I create that limiting belief for myself? Like my uncle said, I basically just listened to what he said. I kept applying to jobs. I kept putting my best foot forward at work. I kept fortifying my business plan. I kept posting on TikTok. And with that, I also kept dreaming about my podcast, to the point where I was having actual dreams about my podcast. And me deleting TikTok a few weeks ago to clear out my storage and realizing that I don't want it back, as in I don't want my TikTok account back, was another sign that I needed. Realizing as well that in my job right now, I don't want to disclose too many details, but it's looking like I may have to close the chapter on my part-time job that I've been doing after grad as well. And so that would mean that I would be left with no income, no certainty, no direction, no trajectory, no clear vision. All things that make the type A in me go ballistic. What do you mean? What do you mean if someone asks me, what do you do? I just, What? It baffles me. I cry about it. I hyperventilate. Because I'm like, what do you mean? I don't want to do that. God, come on, this is not the plan. You promised me that I would never be broke again. You promised. After all this work, after all this money put into my education, Shirley, you wouldn't do this to me, right? Right? Right. He wouldn't do that to me. God would not put me in that situation. He would not leave me in a situation that I would suffer for no reason. I've suffered enough. I know that. I know that. Like, and a lot of my suffering has been mental. It's been looking at my situation from the most pessimistic lens. And I almost started doing this for, the next 3 months. I'm already foreseeing difficulty, struggle, and lack when knowing the God that I know, that knows me, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. In front of the mic is exactly where I'm meant to be. I have grown and fortified my brain for several months, and I've gone through a lot to the point where I feel very equipped to see this vocation through, because I genuinely do feel like, unlike their other podcasts where, people talk about whatever it is they want to talk about for a bit of crack, bit of fun, this isn't a game to me. And I don't need to treat it like a game just because the world treats it like a game. This isn't a game to me. This is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. I am a friend in the room because I wanted a friend in the room. This is what I am meant to do for other people. People who I may have needed. I'm the person who I could have needed at that time when I was a kid. Okay, arm muscle. Hey, sorry. I told you guys a lot of things have changed. A lot has changed. I've been in that gym. No shade. But anyway, I know that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be listening to me. So honestly, mark my words, this podcast is here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. If it means that I have to do this with no idea where I'm going to be in the next 3 months, and no idea if I'm ever going to tick off the final box of modern day capitalism and get a grad job after slaving away in college for 5 years, so be it. Because this microphone, long form content, not having to script words in my brain to be able to think about the algorithm and, people's attention spans, I don't have to think about that when I make my podcasts. I don't have to come up with a catchy, tag at the start of a video. I don't need to add the typing sound effects from CapCut when I make a podcast. I don't have to think about retention rates. I don't have to think about that. I mean, I should, but I don't feel like that's something I'm going to have to worry about, because what I say and what I bring to this space is so important, and it's such a shame that I didn't see that. And I didn't view it as a priority because I've been so caught up in what I was told was my priority. And I can do this freely now because I've ticked all those boxes. There's literally nothing anyone judgmental can say to me about doing this full time, because I've done the courses, I've done everything I should possibly do, and it's not worked in my favor. And surely if it's not worked in my favor, despite the work that I've put in, it must mean that I'm being shifted into a direction that is meant for me and is better fitting for me than what I have perceived to be the right thing to do. I don't know. But we're going to find out. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. And it's funny how a lot of people who I know in person have always been asking me, oh, I miss your podcast. I miss listening to you talk. I miss the fact that I saw myself in you. I miss the fact that I related to you. If people could relate and I could have impact with the juvenile mind that I had back then, and the little tools I had, and the little connection to God that I had, and the little maturity that I had, what more could I do with all of the work that I've done on myself? And without the weight of people who may not fully understand me, or the weight of feeling responsible for people's own lives when I've spent so much time pouring into other people that I've completely neglected my own self. Like, what more can I say that would denounce me being fitting for a podcast like this. And also, if I must add, the Black Sheep names, guys, names are so spiritual, because the Black Sheep podcast I think I almost felt suffocated by the duty that I bestowed upon myself unknowingly and unwillingly. Because to call yourself a black sheep, yeah, it's not like back then I was just like, oh, cute, all the black sheep together. You realize you're not as different as you thought you were. It goes so much deeper than that. When I meet people who are true black sheep, who have grown up in rigid, difficult conditions and really branched out, broke the mold and lost people in the process, that's a real black sheep. And it's not something to be messed around with. I'll be honest, I've lived a pretty sheltered life. Like, I've been through a lot of things. I've been through a lot emotionally. And I think that, there are aspects of the podcast that aligned with the title, but I think as I was continuing with the podcast and articulating different points, I almost felt obliged or expected to come up with these ideally profound concepts that would blow your mind and, label me as the Gen Z philosopher of today. And when I wasn't coming up with insanely profound thoughts or think pieces, I felt quite inadequate. I did. And it was a lot more stressful, and it felt more like another assignment, like from college, because I was like thinking outside of myself and trying to draw inspiration from things that didn't align with me, just to have something profound to give people. Like, I was almost turning into an educator rather than just a simple podcaster who just speaks my mind on things and articulates things as they go along. Don't get me wrong, there will still be educational aspects of this podcast, but it will be educational because I've actually done the work and I've actually learned through certain things so that I can articulate them better. But I was speaking on things that I've never even lived, never even, existed through. And yeah, it just made me quite burnt out. It made me feel like, martyr is not the word. There's a word for it, but I can't. It's I'm losing the word. But yeah, like, calling myself a black sheep was a lot of pressure. Point blank period. It felt like a lot of pressure. And I think now with Fred in the room, I can just be exactly that. And I don't think that's very hard, because if my energy entices you and you feel warmth and you feel comfort through listening to my voice and listening to me articulate myself, then that's me doing my job, and I've ticked the box. And it also broadens the horizon through which I can speak, and it allows me to draw closer to talking points that align with my character. And so you would be, following along on my journey because of the person that I am, not because of the material that I'm putting out. Does that make any sense? I think if you look at some of the titles of my last few podcasts, you can, and even just the way I was speaking, you can see like the gears were turning so hard, like just trying so hard to like be this knowledgeable, insightful wizard of knowledge when I wasn't even that. Like, I actually wasn't. I'm a smart girl. I can pat myself on the back and say that I'm educated and that I'm a smart person and that I articulate myself well. But even at that, please, who's coming up with crazy, mad concepts like that every single week? Not me. Not me. Like, not anyone. The most creative concepts, like, in philosophy took years to research and publish. So if I thought that I was going to do that every single week just because I named my podcast Black Sheep, I was out of my head. Delusional. But now, here I am, speaking with no script, no journal. I usually would have a little notebook just of the thoughts I want to bring up. And maybe sometimes in the podcast, I might bring my journal out for reference because I have a lot of cool points that I've written over the year. But no, I'm just coming at you off the dome as if I'm just a friend in the room. And that's all I want to be. That's it. Okay, that's it. That's all. And I feel comfortable here. I feel called here. I feel purposeful. I feel like even just now, like this makes me so happy. I'm just so happy to be back. I missed you guys so much. I missed speaking to you lot, and I'm so excited to see what, you know, the next year is going to bring. I know it's already halfway through the year, but I have so much that I want to say and so many ideas and things I want to bring forth to the world. And I want to talk about what I've been up to over the last few months. I want to catch you guys up. I want to uplift you. I want to feel uplifted in my own self. And I want to see what God has in store, because I'm leaning on him more than anything. I know that may be a bit off-putting to people who are also agnostic or atheist, but please do hear me out. I think I can speak from a more nuanced point of view because I grew up in the church, but also a bit, like a very, not a bit, let's not push it, very anti-religious, and also agnostic, and also was atheist at some point, and is now at a stage where I have a relationship with God, with Jesus specifically. But my insights on that, combined with the philosophies that I've picked up over the years, I hope will provide some great insight and also some relatability as well, because guys, being on both sides, I realize that there's a lot more similarities than you may realize, and I'm excited to, you know, nitpick at them and really dissect them and see what that means for each individual listener. So yeah, that's all I have to say, guys, if I'm being so honest. I don't want to drag on for too long. Like I said, this is just a welcome back, more of a hey, hi, I'm alive. And don't worry, I'm not disappearing anytime soon. I am excited. I'm looking forward to everything that this has in store, and I'm not going to ramble on anymore. This is enough. 27 minutes. That's not bad. That's really not bad. The fact that I did that off the dome, proud of myself. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to, I want to say it's episode 8 or episode 7, but realistically, let's call it episode 1. This has been episode 1 of the Friend in the Room podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I've been your host, Keziah, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have an amazing day.